This video is about the Watergate scandal. The scandal started with a break-in in the headquarters of the Democratic Party in the Watergate complex. That was in June 1972, and then the whole thing ended with the resignation of US President Richard Nixon in August 1974. Essential for uncovering the Watergate scandal were Bob Woodward and Bernstein, two journalists with the Washington Post. They were supported by FBI Deputy Director Mark Feld, codenamed Deep Throat. Nixon saw in Democrats, the media, the justice system, and the liberal East Coast establishment enemies. What did not help was that the ministries were leaking even secret documents to the press. Nixon drew up a list of personal enemies and initiated often not entirely legal measures against these enemies. Nixon's style of government was rather autocratic and hierarchical. He moved the powers from the ministries and placed them in the White House. Now, there was an election coming up, and Nixon founded the Committee for the Re-election of the President, which was tasked with a campaign against the Democratic Party with legal and illegal measures. One definitely illegal measure was the break-in the headquarters in the Watergate complex. 5 burglars were caught red-handed while they were replacing bugs and checking documents of the Democratic Party. Relatively quickly, prosecutors could establish a financial connection between the Watergate burglars and the Committee for the Re-election of the President. In the end of August 1972, Nixon said, "I can say categorically that no one in the White House staff, no one in this administration presently employed was involved in this very bizarre incident." He was re-elected and very clearly, but the Watergate scandal would not go away. Bernstein and Woodward were uncovering more and more, as well as other journalists. A Senate committee took up its work to investigate the Watergate incident, and then Nixon's close advisors Ehrlichman, Haldeman, Dean, and Attorney General Kleindienst had to resign as scapegoats. But even this did not help. Then the Watergate scandal took a surprising and unexpected turn. Butterfield, a White House employee, said that there is a secret recording system in operation in the White House. The Senate and Special Prosecutor Cox demanded the release. Nixon refused. And then there was this Saturday night massacre. Nixon forced Special Prosecutor Cox, Attorney General Richardson as Deputy Ruckelaus to resign. Now, things got worse because the House of Representatives authorized a committee to examine the option of impeachment proceedings. Furthermore, the Watergate 7 high-ranking government officials were sentenced to prison for covering up the Watergate incidents. Now, Nixon said he will release edited transcripts of the White House tapes, and they was first in published, very welcomed, but the public opinion changed when actually reading the transcripts. The Providence Journal said reading the transcripts is an traumatic experience. One comes away feeling unclean. The Supreme Court ordered then the release of the tapes. Nixon complied on the 30th of July 1974, and the House committee recommended then to initiate impeachment proceedings. It was definitely over when the smoking gun tape was released, which actually made clear that Nixon wanted the CIA to disrupt FBI investigations. Nixon, posing as a winner, as a victor, announced his resignation on the 8th of August 1974. Now, there were 69 members of government were prosecuted and 48 were found guilty. Nixon received a presidential pardon, but he was seen as still is seen as one of the worst US presidents. Regardless of what he achieved in Asia, the relations to the Chinese, and with regards to Vietnam. But from now on, there are higher requirements, stricter requirements on the financial transparency for political parties and politicians. And the decade-long, so not only Nixon was doing that, but the decade-long practice of recording in the White House ended. The media was established as the fourth power in the state. More and more journalists wanted to become like Woodward and Bernstein. But also their dealing with politicians was more and more aggressive and cynical. Watergate became synonymous with political scandals, for example, the real estate scandal of the Clintons, White Watergate, or even in Germany, Watergate, the scandal surrounding Minister President Barschel. That was the Watergate scandal in 5.